Are you still there, Parker?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, Kelsey was just filling me in that at City Hall, they're losing power off and on.
Yeah, but I'm home, so it should be for this meeting. It'll be okay. Oh, and we just lost Susan.
I mean, the winds haven't been that strong. I'm wondering why they're losing power.
Whoops, I was clicking buttons and I accidentally clicked the close button, so that's why it disappeared.
Susan, any knowledge as to why you guys are getting hit with the power on and off?
I have no idea. That's happened probably in the last hour, probably. So Chris, I was instructed by Kelsey, if they lose power and Kathleen, who's being our recording secretary, etc., if they lose power and she disappears, then we you can continue talking about a particular item. We can do a roll call vote, but we can't move any further on the agenda until she comes back. And if she doesn't come back, we would have to end the meeting and, resume another day.
Can we all come over to your house then?
Sure. The
We don't
pool's
have
heated, the
we don't
hot
have
tub's
quorum?
ready. We'll go get some beers,
Oh, I like that. Keegan, how are you going to go through a meeting without Mary picking on me? I mean, seriously.
I don't know. We're all
gonna
gonna
be
have
done.
to take turns.
Oh, you're going to take turns picking on me. Okay, that's right. Brent, I want you in on that too.
I looked that beautiful vehicle you sent me the picture of, which is now the public safety vehicle. I'm just thrilled with that.
You know why? The guy, the race director for that race didn't realize that vehicle was left on the beach. Their rental company didn't pick it up because it wasn't where it was supposed to be. And I was trying to get it. I didn't want it to get stolen, basically. So.
Do we not have a quorum?
Yeah.
Not yet. And we're not going to have Daphne. Possibly later in the meeting, but not at the beginning. So
who else is missing?
Josh and Brian.
Josh and Brian are both out?
No, they're not missing. They just haven't come on yet.
Yeah, we're still early. We're still early.
Here.
We're
Okay.
kind of early.
And
Yeah.
Parker, are you the one that's showing up as Malibu admin?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't know what Kathleen's gonna look like. I guess she's not.
She'll come in
working.
under her name.
Okay.
And Keegan, just so you know, Susan let us know that power has been up and down at City Hall.
Are they doing work? Is it planned?
I don't think so. I don't know what it is. It just started. I left City Hall and came home to do the meeting because I have better Zoom capabilities at home.
Yeah.
So it happened on my way home, so I don't know what it is, but we were just warned that if we lose our admin who's running the behind the scenes of this, that you can continue talking, we can do a roll call vote on something, but we can't move ahead on our agenda until she's back on, if she gets back on.
Bradley,
Yes, sir.
that article, I'm going to send it to Keegan as well. I sent it to your other two compadres in there. I might have sent it to Keegan about the dispatchers. That's pretty.
No, it's a great article because those folks are so integral. They're like the cornerstone of fire service. It's a huge deal, and they should be paying those people. They really should be paying.
If you really looked into the article, I did a little more research. They're actually reassigning them in some cases out to incidents and putting them, putting them out at the incident, and then they're taking people that, might be a strike team leader and putting them in communications. It's a really messed up system, but the feds just don't pay their people enough to even live in the cities that they work out of.
Well, that's why the feds lose good quality, great, half of us, I don't know the percentage, but there's a giant percentage of us that work for the Forest Service or National Park. And they go to, municipalities that pay them, and you're getting good quality people that are leaving. And, it's unfortunate. So that was a really good article.
That paycheck protection thing still hasn't passed, and they're working on it, but
Not a good
that's
time
not
to
even-
be working on it, considering the issues going on right now in the budget. It's not, it's bad because the people, that's a very important part of it. Those are the traffic cops. Those are the guys that run the system, dispatch, et cetera. So,
yeah, no, I read that article you sent me.
oh, did
Were
you get,
they-
I didn't, I thought I sent it to you, Keegan.
Yeah.
Brent, do you want me to send it to you?
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
absolutely like to read that.
Chris, are the dispatchers included in the pay raise thing? I'm not really familiar with
If
it.
they're
Does anyone
fed.
know?
If they're fed.
But I thought they had to be operations, like firefighter type of folks.
Oh,
It's dispatchers too? Oh, I don't know. I was
could be-
asking you.
You could be correct on that.
Oh, crap.
So Kelsey let me know that their internet network is down and they're trying to figure out a workaround.
Who's that? The city?
Yeah,
Sarah looks good. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how you
Hi.
guys doing?
We got Luis. We got Father Luis in here. We
Probably.
got Drew. Congratulations, Luis.
Thank you, thank you.
I don't see any circles under your eyes, so it must be going okay.
Hate to brag, but we got a good sleeping schedule figured out here. So I've been getting my 5-6 hours a day.
I'm
Knock on
jealous.
wood.
Nice work. When was your kid born?
August 22nd.
Okay, we
Cool.
got Josh.
That was our due date, but we were born the 27th. August
Oh,
27th.
okay.
Just this, a month ago or whatever.
All right.
Congrats.
Nice. Congrats to you too.
Thank you.
Hey there, Chris Voss. Hi, Keegan. Bruce Smith here. Hey, how long before you get to me?
I would say probably 10 minutes if the meeting starts. City Hall is having some issues with internet and power. And
Okay.
there's an admin that has to get logged in to run sort of the back into this system because I'm not running it. I don't
Okay.
know.
All right. I'm on an incident right now, so I will get back to it. So just don't think I'm blowing you off. So
Okay,
I'll
thank you
click
so
back
much,
in.
Chief.
okay, thank you. All right, bye.
Is Megan in here?
I don't see Megan.
All right. I wonder what incident Drew's on.
I know, I don't know.
I was
You
just
know-
I was just trying to figure it out.
There's something in Santa Monica, but that's the only one I could see.
It's Las Virgenes and Mulholland, vehicle into a power pole and dropped the power pole.
Ah,
On Las Virgenes or on Mulholland?
It says it's right at the intersection.
Oh, nice. But
Yeah.
that's a nice traffic jam.
Yep.
Wow. How you doing, Sergeant Soderlund?
I am doing well. How are you? We are,
You guys have a big day tomorrow.
yeah. And then we
That's,
just lost another one in Manhattan Beach earlier today.
I saw that. In fact, once we get started, I'd like to adjourn the meeting at the end in honor of your deputy. I'm not sure I can pronounce the name correctly. Can you?
Yeah, it's Klinkenbrummer.
Okay. You might have to help me at the end there.
Sure.
Sergeant Sutherland, Klinkenbrummer was the deputy in Palmdale, correct?
Yes.
And then the motor cop who we lost was at Manhattan Beach this morning was someone else.
Yeah, that was Swanson was his last name. Let me see.
He was a Manhattan Beach motor, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
Sucks.
it's
This has been a day of extreme sadness
Chad
for the
Swanson is his name.
Okay.
All right, I think we have everybody who's gonna be here. How are you doing on your end, Susan?
I think we're good. Oh, I thought I saw Kathleen. Kathleen, are you in the room? Thought I saw her, shoot. It's like I thought I saw her.
It's on the back end of
And-
City Hall. They're trying to get straightened out. Oddly, Sergeant, that isn't up on Pulse Point.
Oh, there she is. Yay. All right. We
Hi.
have Kathleen. Kathleen, are you set? Are you good?
I will see how set I am. I'm pretty much ready to go. We just called to order, correct?
We haven't called to order. We were waiting till you
Oh,
were here.
okay. All right. Well, I'm here and I'm ready whenever you are.
All right. I guess, Chris, you can call the meeting to order.
Hang on 1 second, okay. Hold on, I just lost my screen. There, I got it back. Everybody's having problems here. All right, hang on 1 second. I got a problem now.
Hey, no laughing, Keegan.
Any chance I can laugh at Chris, I take it.
It's easily solvable, so. All right, I'm gonna call this meeting to order at 5:04 PM. I'd like to call to order the Malibu Public Safety Commission regular meeting of October 4th, 2023. This meeting is being held by teleconference due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we appreciate everyone's patience as we navigate the Zoom meeting process. Commissioners and city staff are participating from remote locations, and all votes will be taken by roll call. Instructions for members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting can be found at malibucity.org/virtual meeting. If you want to speak, please sign up before the item's called, and you must be present in the meeting to be recognized. Commissioners, if you have comments to make during the meeting, please raise your hands and I will call on you in turn so we can make our discussions clear for the record and the public. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Anit? Commissioner Gibbs?
Present.
Commissioner Merrick?
Present.
Vice Chair Spiegel?
I'm here.
Chair Frost?
Here.
You have a quorum and it looks like ex officio member Woodworth is present as well.
Yes, present.
You have a quorum.
All right, Josh, you want to do the national anthem?
I'm not big on singing, but I'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'm sorry, I always get that wrong, don't I?
All right. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance
to
to
the
the
flag
flag
of the United
United
States of
States of
America,
America,
And to the republic
for which it stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all.
I think Mary caught me saying that a few times, getting that wrong. A few hundred times. I'd like to call for approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Chris.
All right, you want to, Kathleen, you want to take the roll on that? You're muted. Susan, you're muted also, Susan. Did we lose her?
Oh. Okay, here we go.
There she is.
Apologies. Commissioner Gibbs? Vice Chair Spiegel?
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick?
Yes.
Chair Frost?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Kathleen, can we get a report on the posting, please?
The meeting for this agenda was properly posted on September 28th, 2023.
Great, thank you. Do we have any communications from the public?
One moment, I shall double check. There are no speakers signed up. I'm not seeing any raised hands. If anybody wishes to speak, they may raise their hands.
Thank you, Kathleen. Staff updates, Susan.
All right, just a quick few updates for you. Update on the KBU agreement and MOU. I think I'm going to be able to turn it in tomorrow morning, and it should be going on the October 23rd agenda. It's been a long haul, but I think we're about ready to move that forward. So that's good news. And it also looks like if something were to happen before the agreement's in place, before we get the antenna out where it's proposed at the shed at Bluffs Park, that we could, in a pinch, get an antenna up on the Michael Landon Center, not just using a surface mount. Steve and I have talked about it. We talked to Yolanda that in a pinch, in an emergency, we could use our emergency powers to probably make that happen. So we could implement using KBU in an emergency before we have all these ducks in a row and the antenna up and all that. So I thought you'd like to know that. Also, we're going to be bringing forward a policy for the city council that establishes the criteria for declaring a local emergency during fire season that enables us to clear or more easily clear encampments from the hillsides. We did the last 2 years, and our metric for declaring was a live fuel moisture of 65%, which we're all good with. But the other end of that is going to be, we need to establish also when do we terminate it. So we're in the process of finalizing what that policy will be, because it's a little bit trickier than the trigger for initiating it. But it looks like we'll probably bring that forward the first meeting in November to the council. We are getting closer to wrapping up our updated emergency operations plan, so still working on that. Today we met with Beaches and Harbors to get information from them for the plan. Also, we're updating the hazard mitigation plan, and there will be a community meeting to obtain input on October 26th. It'll be via Zoom. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a survey that was put out this past summer for the consultants to gather information from the public on what their concerns were, any ideas on mitigation measures. And so this public meeting is just one more step in trying to get community input into that plan. That's the main things I have, except the most exciting thing is that Luis Flores is back. So we'll let him go next.
Sure. So good to be back. Good evening, everyone. So yeah, it's been an interesting last 6 weeks. So the last couple of days, just been playing catch up and checking in with folks, with our outreach teams, with our local deputies, just making sure of seeing kind of what things are going on. There's a couple new encampments that have popped up here and there that we'll be working on the coming days to try to get that resolved as soon as possible. Some of those are on Beaches and Harbors property, so we'll be partnering with them hopefully to get those addressed as soon as possible. So just again, going back and doing the rounds again to make sure that we're being successful in our outreach efforts and enforcement when needed, of course. So, and you know, good to see that the temporary impound yard had great success. I know that concluded in September, and you guys probably reported back on that. It was over 500 vehicles towed, which is a great success. So again, just, we're excited to get back into the groove of things. And I'll pass it over to Brad and Gabe and the fire safety folks.
I guess I'll go. Good evening, everybody. A couple quick updates. I'm kind of really happy to announce that we completed the hazard tree removal grant this past week. We were working on it the last 2 years through the Mountains Conservancy. We had a grant of $324,000, and it was extended to an additional $350,000. And this past week, we used it all up. So the total in the city of Malibu, we kept it only in the city of Malibu limits, was about 64 properties and about 512 trees were removed. So glad that was done. We may look to seeking additional funds in the future to continue on, because there are other trees that we should take out. The other news I'd like to report is the live fuel moisture. It's something, a metric that we report to you every month. And it kind of is a metric that tells us how likely a fuel bed is to propagating a large fire. We know the lower the number, the less moisture, so that's bad. The higher the number, the more. Keeping in mind that the critical number is 60%. The historic average for this date in time in the last 43 years is 63% is the average. Last year at this time, we were at 60%. And in 2021, I believe we were getting into the high 50s already due to the drought. This year's been kind of extreme the other way. We had the big rain, we had a cool spring, cloudy, some moisture, a lot of coastal influence. We had that tropical storm and a couple other precip events. And we've seen some things that I've never seen in my career, but we actually saw the live fuel moisture spike up twice. It's a number that's measured every 2 weeks. It is at 109% right now, which is just unheard of, 46% above the average. So in essence, what that is, it's good news from a fire weather point of view. I don't think we're even going to get to declaring a local emergency, which we do at 65%. I can't imagine that we're going to get down there, even with continued wind events and heat waves coming up on the horizon. So it is, in essence, shortening our fire season and limiting it. So that's great news, and just wanted to share that with you. And that is all I have.
You want to go, Jerry? You want me to go? Okay, so we are excited here in the city of Malibu because we are initiating a Firewise community, a new one. We have 2 existing ones that are in good standing. We have the Malibu Country Estates. We also have Big Rock Mesa, but we have a new baby coming in, Malibu West. We started our initial meeting with a small core group committee of 4 or 5 folks who are really committed. They seem excited. We're excited, and we're getting buy-in from them. And we actually are going to do what's called a risk analysis. That's going to be on October 16th. We have CAL FIRE representatives potentially coming. We also have LA County Fire Forestry are going to be involved, and us 3 are going to be there involved. And we're basically going to walk around Malibu West. It basically encompasses about 239 units. We're going to walk around their site and look for risks and potential risks during a firefighting or a fire event, and basically put that in a report. And that's going to be the initial stages of us for them to attain Firewise community status, which is going to be huge for to get other communities involved and see what's going on there, and potentially saving some money for insurance. And there's a lot of other benefits that can come from that. And eventually, maybe we get 5, 6, 7, 8 more Firewise communities, and then maybe have a Firewise type council within the city limits of Malibu. So we're pretty excited about it. This is the first time most of us have done this, but we do have some players with a lot of experience. So I think it's going to be successful, and hopefully we can maintain that going forward. So we're pretty happy about it. But that's pretty much it that I have.
Hi, good evening. I don't really have much more to add other than we are kind of getting our first warm, dry, windy event these next few days. So the three of us will be making sure that we have coverage throughout the weekend in case something does happen. And I'm sure Chief Smith will probably touch more on that later when he comes up. That's all I have.
Sarah?
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well today. So a couple updates. We just recently finished our National Preparedness Month Speaker Series event for Preparedness Month in September. We had a lot of great presenters from different county organizations, county agencies and outside organizations. They gave very great presentations with a lot of important information on different types of hazards that Malibu could face and how Malibu can prepare for and respond to those hazards. We also completed our emergency notifications alerts that went out to Malibu. Each week we did send an alert to a different zone, and these notifications reached thousands of people over the course of the month. So that was a great exercise. We were able to get some feedback from our community members as well, whether they got the alert or any issues they had. So it was definitely a great event there. So Preparedness Month. And then upcoming events, we will be conducting a fire evacuation drill as well as an active shooter drill here at City Hall for City Hall staff members. And that will be occurring on Wednesday, October 18th. We will be closing City Hall during this time. So we will be closing down at 3 p.m. We will have participation from Los Angeles County Fire Department as well as Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And we would like to know if any of the commissioners would like to volunteer and participate in this drill and act as the public. So the city staff we can make it as relatable as possible. So that is in 2 weeks on Wednesday, October 18th. And that is all I have for updates.
Thank you, Sarah. Rob, you're up.
Good evening, commissioners. A few things that I wanted to bring up. One big news that I'm just got word, and I'm going to be looking into this more and kind of guiding this. But I did get some information from Caltrans. They are looking to actually work with Beaches and Harbor and clear out the area underneath the Zuma underpass. So yeah, I'm gonna find out more information about it. I just heard that out. Just had some emails on that today, kind of floating around. They were kind of asking us what kind of permits and stuff. So some of the things behind the scenes that I've been kind of working on been paying off, and looks like we may get some movement out there to kind of clean up that area, or at least get some see what they can do out there. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that just give an update on the Trancas Bridge with Caltrans. Right now, Caltrans is in the process of relocating some utilities. I think they're wrapping up this week. They're also going to be building the temporary pedestrian kind of walkway on it. I think that's going to start next week. And then they are planning and crossing their fingers to start to switch over to the other side on October 16th. So that's kind of coming. And then shortly after that, kind of demo everything. And so we're, so it's kind of good news. We're kind of going. They're hopeful they can kind of get that done and move and get out of that demo and get out of the creek area before the end of October. So far, everything's kind of going pretty well out there. And we'll see. And if you've seen out there, they've did a lot of work by just past Guernsey. There were some drainage issues out there that they've been working, and I think they did some improvements to kind of get that drainage kind of working a little better. So that looks good. And then lastly, that I want to bring up is our PCA Signal Sync project. As you can come out and see, our contractor has been staging and storing materials out here at the city's lot down here. Big orange spools of conduit that we're going to use to actually put the electrical conduits from Topanga all the way to John Tyler. Contractor has most of the material ready, and next week he is going to be kind of prepping up, laying out things and kind of getting ready, and the following week start doing potholing and getting kind of moving. So there is movement on this project, and you'll probably see it start in the next couple of weeks. We are posting information about any lane closures and everything that goes along with that. So keep an eye out for that. And if there's any questions about that project or anyone else, please give me a call. And thanks a lot.
Thanks, Rob. I think that's it for
Good evening.
for staff.
Hi, Chris.
Oh,
If I
there's-
may jump in.
there's-
Good evening, commissioners. Just kind of segue from Rob on the Trancas Bridge. We have another bridge project that's gonna be starting soon, and that's over at Sosa's Bridge near Corral Canyon. They have a pre-con meeting scheduled in a couple of weeks, so we'll be attending that and get a little bit more information on the exact groundbreaking date. So once I have that information, I'll be happy to share that with the commission. One thing to note is that they are going to maintain 2 travel lanes in each direction of PCH, similar to what's going on over at Trancas Bridge. The other project update is over at PCH in Las Flores, where we were expecting them to start work, but they got held back a little bit by having to distribute notices to residents. So they finished doing that, and they're expecting to be out there doing actual construction work in about 1 to 2 weeks, the latest. So again, I'll continue to keep you posted on those projects. If you have any questions, I'll be available. Thank you. I can't hear you, Chris. I'm sorry.
I didn't see you on the screen, Arthur. I would have called on you.
That's okay. I was hiding.
All right.
Thank you.
I think that would conclude the staff updates. And so let's go to commissioner reports, commissioner comments. Josh, you want to start?
Sure, I'll be quick. I want to thank Gabe, Jerry, and
Brad.
Who else was there? Brad was there.
Mhm.
For coming to Malibu West and answering all our community's questions, doing a presentation on being a Firewise community. I thought it was awesome, and answered a lot of questions that our community had. And I really want to encourage other communities to have them out. I'm sure they'd be happy to go out and get this process started. It sounds pretty straightforward. It sounds extremely beneficial, and I encourage everyone with an HOA to reach out to the city to get something set up. It was great. So thanks again, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Keegan.
Yes, sir. I also went to the Malibu West thing. It was awesome. Great to catch up with everybody and also see the LA County guys do their question and answer for the community. It's really cool to see kind of everybody getting together like that so consistently. Also recently read I forget what the official title was, but it's the Wildland Fire Mitigation and Management Commission. It's like the federal task force, I guess, or working group they put together last year to kind of tackle all things fire. This is the federal thing from USDA or the Office of Fire. I forget what it is that the feds put on, or the DC puts on. So it's really long, but there's a lot of actually surprisingly really cool suggestions in there for fire. I'm going to go through it again and see if there's anything pertaining to the city that kind of rattles the brain, to see if there's any cool new ideas that we can implement. We have a vote for the brigades coming up, but I'll let Brent talk about that one. And we did a radio test for potential repeater sites for the brigades just a few days ago on Monday. We went all basically through Western Malibu to test repeater sites for Point Doom, and then all the way up to County Line, which is actually in Ventura County. But went really well, and we got a lot of coverage. And shout outs to Ruzi and Richard from CERT for coming out and helping out and bringing all the equipment and waking up bright and early. Last thing is, I'm sure somebody else will talk about this, but the triathlon seemed to go off without a hitch, and everybody that was concerned and worked hard towards it, just want to say thank you, because that event's awesome, and happy to see it that it went well. So that's all I got. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Keegan. Brent, I know you want to follow up on the brigade, so you're up.
Yeah, I can. Thank you, Chris, and thank you very much, Keegan. I just also want to mention that Keegan and Chief Smith were fantastic. A week or so ago, we were down in Anaheim making a presentation at the Disaster Expo. It went very well. Drew, Keegan, you guys were fantastic. We had a pretty good sized audience, and everything was very well received. I can also comment from the brigade standpoint. One of the things we have continued to do is to look at home ignition zone assessments outside of the Malibu City area and the unincorporated areas, which include taking a look at places like Agoura, Calabasas, parts of Topanga, and so forth. And we've now completed about 390 homes that we've looked at. And what's really interesting is now starting the process of re-looking at homes that actually did the mitigation. And I think that's really will pay some big dividends to see, did people listen, and did they actually do the mitigation that was recommended by the teams? And we'll see how that goes. So that was something that's very positive. Also, we're doing some work with Pepperdine University. Some of the different professors there are really involved in helping us with messaging and social media issues and so forth. So that's been great working with Pepperdine. Keegan mentioned the radio tests that took place, which were great. I also just want to again mention the triathlon, just like was mentioned before. Great to see that. I think it's a wonderful reflection on Malibu. I know it was challenging, but that's something that everybody loves, and I thought it went very well. And Chris, everybody who participated obviously did a great job. So back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Brent. Is this down to me now? No, we got Brian down there.
Yeah, thanks. I got a couple of comments. I'm very happy to hear about the bridge underneath Zuma there. I think that it's critical to have that open. It's one of the most dangerous intersections on PCH with people not able to go underneath and now turning into cross traffic at high speeds or north, or trying to turn north out of Zuma parking lot. And so I'm glad to see that there's some action there. I do think that there needs to be, somebody's got to really pay attention to them, because a few years back I pounded on the tables regarding that, and they went through a much bigger project than I thought they would. And then the first rains came and it filled everything in. And what happens is Beaches and Harbors, I believe, is really the responsible party that causes a lot of this issues, because they clean out, there's 3 bays in that bridge. They clean out their one, which is the traffic lane. But when they clean it out, they make it by cleaning it out, they make it at a lower level. They push all the debris into the other 2, and then the water goes right through their section rather than staying in the dirt section where it should be in those other 2 bays. So, then when the water flows through there, then there's something environmental wise that you can't touch it and you can't drive through. So it really needs to be better done once a year after the big rains come through. They should clear it out effectively and have a plan for that. So hopefully, Rob, you'll talk to them about that. I also wanted to point out that I did notice that there has been an increase in unhoused people down there in that same vicinity. Ironically, it's right where the Beaches and Harbors planted their flag for being the cleanest beach in the world, or whatever it is that they say they got their award for there. No sooner had they done that and some encampments popped up. There's one guy that lives in the bus bench, and there's a couple guys that live on the beach there and in and around that area, as well as down at Zuma Tower 9 and 11. There is two encampments. They're not bad, but they're there and they're newer. So I don't know if outreach will reach them or not, but definitely this is all relatively new within the last 2 months or so. I also was, I was invited to a meeting of some Point Dume residents, some well-to-do, well-known Point Dume residents who were concerned about crime, and they brought in a security expert. They're talking about hiring their own private security, armed security, and some other things which I don't always necessarily agree with, but in this meeting, it all stemmed from a robbery that had occurred within Point Dume, and that person who was robbed did not speak very highly of the actions of the sheriff's department, and it was kind of disheartening to hear that related to it, and how it seemed as though other departments around, primarily Burbank Police Department, seemed to be very accommodating and had caught the guys, but that they couldn't do anything because they said it was the sheriff's area. So needless to say, the sheriff's got a bad rap. I have family that are in the sheriff, so I tried to tone it down and let them know that, that's not really how it goes. But anyhow, it was just bad press and bad stuff for the sheriffs within this meeting. And I don't really want to see armed guards on point, private armed guards on Point Dume, but that seems to be where some of the wealthy are headed. Lastly, Rob, if you're there and listening, I went to my property. I have a property out of state, and I went there, and they have speed signs like we have here in Malibu that show you the speeds. And what happened, which I thought was really good and neat, was the fact that if I was going the speed limit there or under the speed limit, the sign actually posted something that was a positive reinforcement and a positive affirmation. It said, "Good job," and "You're awesome," and things of that nature when I was going under the speed limit or at the speed limit. And I know that our signs right now don't really say anything, and I know that they can say something. So maybe we could work on giving some positive reinforcement to people when they actually are obeying the law and under the speed. And that was actually a really kind of cool thing. It kind of brought a smile on my face, and I think it would do the same around here if we were to do that for people that are under the speed limit, give them a positive reinforcement on that sign. I wouldn't mind having other things like, but I don't think we could, but "You're an idiot," or something else if they're over the speed limit. So anyhow, that's my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you for the people that talked about the try. I was there for 2 days, sort of a de facto safety advisor, I guess you could call it. It did go well. People were all happy. It's a great cause. It's nice to see that activity up there in Zuma Beach. It was a good deal. So thank you to everybody that supported it. It's much appreciated. The Trancas Bridge deal. I'm still seeing, well, I don't think it's ever stopped, a lot of speeding over that bridge. And I know it definitely. I mean, Josh, you drive over it every day, and I do too. And it's sometimes you catch yourself halfway across it going, wait a second, I'm over the limit. Now, there used to be a CHP car parked up there. He hasn't been there it's been a while since he's been there. But you really got to watch it in there. If you're walking between Trancas and Zuma along the right-hand side there inside those K-rails, man, they're coming by you fast. They had a Porsche club come through there while we were walking in there, and I guarantee they were all over 70 miles an hour, and a Mustang club going the other way, just about the same speed. So got to be careful there. Maybe our good sergeant there can stick somebody up there with a radar gun and slow it down a little bit. Even if their presence is there, it should slow them down. Speaking about the bridge, I'm glad to hear what you said, Rob, about that. And Brian, yeah, you're absolutely right. They've moved the stream bed over to our side, our side being the lanes that go under there. And basically what's interesting is that, if you go to the Army Corps of Engineers, they'll be all over you for moving the stream bed. Yet it's their group of 4 that have caused the issue that we have there now. And, you know, for all of us that have been here most of our lives, it's just gotten worse and worse because it gets pushed over into that compartment that's supposed to take the stream downwards or down towards the ocean. And I think most of you got the letter that I got from the gentleman who helped name the Goby, saying that there was never a Goby. There's never been a Goby in there. There isn't now. And he said the only way there'd be a Goby in there was if they introduced it into those waters there, because maybe someday it'd be the proper habitat for it. But they don't just come show up there. So, and we all know that when that breaches, sometime when it breaches, if it does breach, all the water's gone out of there, so it's not flowing anyway. So that being said, I'm really happy to hear what Rob's saying. I was also at that meeting at Trancas with our 3 fire liaisons in LA County Fire, Keegan, Josh, a lot of people. That was a great meeting. And I think, Brian, you had expressed an interest in trying to do something on the point. I would highly recommend it. And you don't have to have everybody on board. And the way that Brad and Jerry and Gabe presented it up there, it was so easy to understand, and all the questions were answered, and it was simple. It wasn't very complicated. That was the part I liked. Let me see, good meeting, insurance. Oh, other thing. I think we're all seeing the pinch on insurance out here now, fire insurance. Even here in Paradise Cove, mine's doubled. It was always fairly reasonable, but I'm hearing from some of the HOAs at the condo associations that, you know, some of these buildings, they're asking enormous numbers, almost unaffordable. And I don't know how all of you out there are faring. Brent, you live up in a fire area. Well, we all do, basically. But I don't know where this is going and where it ends and when it stops, if it's even affordable. Some people are insuring their houses for undervalue because they can't afford to pay the premiums. And by the way, this is not just here. I have a home in Arizona. It doubled over there as well. And it's not a fire area. So I think that's something that we all have to keep our eyes on before it gets out of hand. And also, Rob, we're still on board with getting that right turn lane, right? At Trancas? Okay, good. That's it for me. And by the way, Keegan and Brent, thank you for going down to that disaster conference down there and presenting. I've heard back from other people how good it was. I heard you guys did a good job. So, all right, let's go to the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve this consent calendar.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Chris.
Kathleen, will you call for the vote on that, please?
Chair Frost,
Yes.
Vice Chair Spiegel,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbs,
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Kathleen. All right, 5A, new business. Susan, you are up. Public Safety Services Annual Review.
All right, thank you very much. So as you all know, every year in the fall, we invite our public safety partners to come and give us kind of an overview of the past year and all their accomplishments and anything new that's going on. So tonight we have Chief Drew Smith, we have Chief Fernando Boitu. Hopefully I didn't slaughter your name. I apologize if I did. And then of course, Sergeant Chris Soderlund to talk to the sheriffs. And Mark Russo's on. I'm hoping he can give us an update on the VOPs, but why don't we begin with Chief Smith? You've got the floor.
Well, thank you. Appreciate being here, and appreciate the city of Malibu, that's for sure, and also the Public Safety Commission. So I know that the County of Los Angeles Fire Department is not new to anybody by any stretch of the imagination, but just as a recap, just remember that the city of Malibu is not a fee-for-service city, so it is paid for and through tax money. So you get the full complement of everything just through your taxes that you pay. And as a world-renowned organization and all-risk service provider, customer service is our number one priority and goal, is that customer service to stabilize an incident and make things better. I know that comes with some challenges, but I think everybody is appreciative how robust the county family is, and also our assisting agencies in any type of emergency. So Within Malibu, there's just a recap, a total of 4 stations, and there's a total of 17 personnel on duty every day. There's 51 firefighters within the battalion, and those resources are shared. That's only within the battalion, but we have significant amount of depth, whether it be by land, sea, or air, to accommodate the emergency need. And you have 1 battalion chief on duty every day, and it seems like I'm on duty every day. I'm always close, kind of like a bad rash, you know, I'm always around. So we have a lot of overhead in place to help within an incident. The highlights of what we're looking at for the year in review of 22 to 23, total of 42 fires. As you know, most of our calls are medical calls, and that tapped out at 1,830. We have those service calls, hazard condition calls, and lifeguard assist, and that's something that Chief Bautier can talk to you about. But just remember, with your lifeguard division, it is the Los Angeles County Fire Department. And so the cooperative effort for the protection of the beaches and the road systems and everything outside, we work together for any type of emergency, and it's very seamless. They are subject matter experts in what they do in that lifeguard division, and it's very well complemented by the leadership there. With the total responses at just north of 3,000, we average just about 250. It's actually 258 calls per month within the city. We have a significant amount of advanced life support responses they have on the medical side of the house, and basic life support that we do. So just remember also that you have paramedic services through our paramedic squads. And also you have an ambulance company, which is McCormick in the area, that is the transportation mechanism to get patients transported by ground to a hospital. But as you know, within the city of Malibu, we have designated landing zones for our aircraft. And some of those key ones are Zuma Beach, also Pepperdine University that we have as well. And then just to the south, we use Topanga State Beach for any air type of trauma center criteria patients. And our mark is to get people to a surgeon in a traumatic situation from the time of dispatch to the time that we can stabilize the patient to fly them in 1 hour. And really, it's not matched anywhere else in the world on that type of customer service delivery. And not just for our organization, that stands true for the Los Angeles City Fire Department, the Ventura County Fire Department, that has like services, which we share those assets with. And talking to the helicopter needs, we share those assets for those type of emergencies. The highlights of also of our, when we see most of our incidents, is we know that in the summertime, of course, with all the beach traffic, everybody wants to go Pacific Coast Highway. Most of our call volume happens afternoon and before 7 o'clock at night. And highlighting that would be Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. So those are what I would call not routine calls, and calls aren't routine, but I'm talking about calls that are because of external influence, which would be a lot of traffic in the area, rather than just going to a 911 call to somebody's single family residence that's having a medical emergency. So the density of the population that impacts the city of Malibu is very transient and be very significant at times. And we do have a lot higher call volume, especially in the summer months in the Malibu area. Some of the noteworthy incidents that we've had, and one of those, or several of those I'd like to bring up, are the vehicle accidents and speeding on Pacific Coast Highway, and also those over-the-side rescues that we're getting within the Canyon Road system. And a lot of those did have significant, really significant injuries with those. And so we know that call volume for people navigating and just driving too fast on those canyon roads. It's really a compliment also to our sheriff's partners where their urban search and rescue team. They're really good and we work very good with them for those over the side type of accidents. Just one in January, believe it or not, in January, you did have a brush fire off of Tuna. And people ask, well, why in January? So I don't want people to think that we have a fire season that's year round that is all relatively the same, because it's not. So we do have a prime fire season, which we're in now. So a January fire that goes for a total of 3 acres, and some of those are less than a half an acre, are routine for us. They don't pose the same threat as you would like when we get into a high risk day or elevated fire weather conditions like we're in now and will be for the next 3 days. So we can have a fire in Malibu anytime, but it takes a couple different components to make that happen. So the picture of everything being a Wolseley fire is not. So we look at a fire at where it starts, what its potential is to increase in size, and pick our tactical opportunities based upon those environmental conditions and the fire behavior. And the same fire behavior that you have on a January fire is not going to be the same in May, nor is it going to be the same in July, nor is it going to be the same in October. So we also have our contract aircraft, so very robust Air Force, if you will. So the CL-415s, the Super Scoopers, are back. This is their 30-year anniversary of being with the district. And so those are on all first alarm assignments, also with our Black Hawk helicopter fleet and also the Helitanker 55. So we have a very strong Air Force for combating fires. The working relationship with the sheriff's department is phenomenal. The fantastic leadership by Captain C2 and all of her staff, her deputies, her officers are phenomenal. The working relationship that we have, we communicate routinely, and it's really, really well done and orchestrated. And we get tested on that once we get an emergency. And so the feedback we get from the commission is of high value to us. So I want you, which I know you do, because I talk to most of you all the time anyhow, is please provide us that feedback or ask the why on something. And so we can look and address the issue, or at least have an understanding on the why. So looking at where we're at right now in fire season, on average, we get 8 Santa Ana or red flag events in the Santa Monica Mountains throughout October 1st to December 31st. And I can tell you from the fire behavior analyst standpoint that yes, we get 8 on average, but not every time that we have one do we get a fire. So meaning that if we get one significant event, wind event, and we get one fire start, we could have a fire that has the potential for some large fire growth. So we look at this with a fire danger indice matrix, which calculates fire weather conditions, fuel conditions, and forecasting future weather conditions that gives us a matrix on what our relative risk is. Because one thing you can't argue is historical climatology, when the fire started, what its outcome was, how many acres it burned. So we look at when are those conditions matched before a fire starts to give us a yardstick, a benchmark, a prediction, a staffing matrix to know that we are in a high risk day. So we look at that daily when we get into the fall, but we do track that all year round with our organization doing live fuel moisture sampling throughout the Santa Monica Mountains. So we know the state of the live vegetation that's out there. And then when we work in cooperation every day with the National Weather Service, nobody gets surprised on what that relative risk is every day. We want to, of course, continue working closely with the city staff and the Public Safety Commission to promote the public education component. And we do a lot, and I owe this to Megan Courier, who is just a great resource and just a great conduit for the city of Malibu on the need, so we can get the right information out there, so we can be proactive. And I really applaud all of you that are on this with the commission for your engagement with us and giving us what that need is and setting up those events that we do. I enjoy going to those. I like talking about who we are, what we do, and what our residents can do to help, to support, because it's a team effort by all. We have a significant social media platforms that we use. That's that Facebook. So that's Facebook, and that's for Division 7 that we have. We have a Twitter account and also an Instagram account that Megan updates and keeps posted. One thing that I'd like to just reassure is we make sure that we have a good communication line when we do have an incident. Be part of the solution, and part of that solution is the common operating platform that we're on and the common messaging platform that we're on, so we don't get rogue information, so we can give you the right information in a timely fashion that's as accurate as all possible, and also helping steer that we don't get rogue information out there that could actually be detrimental to the incident, the city, and the fire department. So with that, I will open it up to any questions for me. And I bet Chris Frost has 2.
I have only one.
Oh, dang, I was off.
My question is that how are we doing headed towards putting a tank above Trancas?
So we're working with a water district on that. So right now we have the ability to put a soft tank up there that carries 5,000 gallons. So we have that as a potential. If we need to do that at Trancas Park, we can put a pumpkin up there right now. In fact, we could put 2 up there right now if we needed to and we had a need. So just outside the city limits, a little bit outside, that is one of the latest improvements we've done is we do have a static 5,000 gallon hella well or hella tank in service, which is just behind Camp Kilpatrick. And so it's right off of Encinal. So it is operational. And that was something that took us about 9 months to do. So it's on county property. And so we have that ability. We've also trained with our Ventura County partners on that, because that's going to be a great dip site for them in the western portion of the Ventura and LA County line. So one thing, we are still exploring other opportunities to have those fixed tanks, because as I'd like to say that just because you have a close water source, it doesn't mean it's the best. You need separation, timing, and distance with your aircraft. And so just because it's right there doesn't mean it's the right dip site at the right time. So, but if it gives us tactical options to have multiple dip sites, we can get our aircraft in concert a lot easier. Long answer, Chris. Sorry about that.
No, it's a good answer. I actually got more than I asked for, but Trancas, the lawn up there at Trancas would certainly give you plenty of distance up there and separation.
Correct. Yeah, and that's already, we have that in our planning right now. If we need to do that, and the turnaround time to make that happen is approximately 2 to 4 hours. So it'd be a longer term incident if we needed to set that up, but it's an option right now.
Thank you. Questions for Drew? What was my second question, Drew?
I don't know, what was for dinner? I don't know.
All right, Keegan.
I got a
question. Yes, sir.
It's more of a comment, not so much a question, but you you requested it and it popped in my head. So, you know, a few different times over the last few years when we've spoken and met, especially Megan has talked about how, like when you guys do community outreach things, and when you guys go speak in Topanga, when you guys speak for the city, you know, a lot of times you guys have, well, I won't say a lot of times, every time you guys have really credible information to deliver, right? Just like you just did right now about the operations and capabilities of the county. The unfortunate thing is the number of ears that are receptive or that hear that information or are there to even hear it, right? And a lot of times those ears are the ones you're preaching to the choir, right? It's people that are already prepared, or people that already know, or people that work in disaster management, first responders, et cetera. And it also goes down to social media, right? Is that there's not a lot of engagement in social media, and sometimes people miss messages and stuff. And so I've really been thinking about that a lot the last week. And just now when you were talking about it, I just felt like I should chime up and just share my piece. And I'm sure you and Megan already know this, but I think the issue a lot of times is that as a county, you represent a huge diverse group of people, right? And it's everybody from little newborns to elderly to, I mean, you name it, right? It's the most diverse possible. So a lot of times when the messaging goes out, people that receive the messaging assume that it's not necessarily for them. And they assume that, oh, that is for somebody that is not as able-bodied as me, or that is for somebody that is, et cetera, right? I'm talking about when you're trying to, maybe for evacuations or for preparedness or readiness stuff. And I think that that's kind of like an issue that is solved by the community level, neighbor to neighbor discussions, right? Is that like, I have a discussion with Chris, he receives that discussion differently than he receives maybe the exact same point that is shared on Twitter or is shared at this meeting, you know? And, you know, I don't think there's a solution to it necessarily from the county perspective or any first responder perspective, right? Because like I see, like with the sheriff's department, they do a lot of great stuff on Twitter talking about everything from catalytic converter engravings to, I mean, you name it. And then you hear people saying, oh, the sheriffs aren't doing anything about catalytic converter theft. And it's like, well, actually they are, you're just not listening, or you're not there to listen. Right. So it's tricky, you know. I just wanted to say, like, I appreciate you guys, and you know, it's a topic that I've thought a lot about as even as a commission for us. How do we reach our constituents to share information better where they actually receive it, as opposed to like, oh, they're not talking to me, they're talking to old Betsy down the road, you know? So that's my little PSA.
Well, you've heard me say this before, the information we give people is useless unless they make it useful.
Right, exactly.
So we did a big emergency preparedness, gave them all the crown jewels that I had. One of our neighboring cities, 10 people on Zoom.
Right.
We've gone to, and you've been to the events that we've done, and it's always the same people, you know, that are there, which I appreciate because we have great conversation, but we want more. Yeah. And we're reaching out on all the social media platforms. Everybody's doing their part to get this information, and we understand, you know, lives are busy.
Yeah, it's, you know, I think it's lives are busy, but I also think it's like, I don't know, it's just tough. Like, I don't think people look to the government for all the answers all the time, you know, or they don't want to. And it's something that I realize as being on the commission is like, okay, how do I disseminate information that I receive out to people? You know, and it's tough. It has to come from a peer-to-peer for the most part. I hope that, you know, this is a shameless, it isn't meant to be a shameless plug, but it is for the brigades, is that I hope that the brigades can help at least a little bit in that, you know, as bridging that gap. So
I 100% believe that they will.
Yeah.
It's an enhancement for sure. And I'm really proud about the work that you have all done in this, that we've all done in this.
Yeah, yes to you, yeah.
Okay, so I think I need to be Mary Linden right now and say we need to get back
Yeah,
on our
sorry.
agenda item.
Whatever.
So
Thank-
why don't we hear from
Thank you, Susan.
Chief, and Chief, come on and please help me with, I want to make sure I say your name right. Is it Boito? I'm sorry, I'm not good at French names. Or Chief Smith, you can help me.
OTA.
Say it
There you
again.
go. Yeah.
Boitier?
Good evening,
Boitier.
everybody. Boitier.
Very good.
Yeah, it's French, and I know it's it's a little hard to pronounce.
Yes, well, thank you so much for being here. Let's hear from you, Chief.
Well, just I'm just gonna just continue what Chief Smith just said. You know, we the lifeguards are part of the LA County Fire Department. We're a division of the fire department. We work, side by side on day-to-day operations and big incidents, right? So, but before I go into just the highlights of this past year, just want to let everybody know that this coming Saturday, we will be holding the lifeguard exam at Zuma Beach, starting at 7 a.m. It should be just for about no more than 3 to 4 hours. We're expecting 520 people sign up, but we're not expecting all the 520 people to show up. So that's the process where it starts to become, a part of our organization. You do the swim test, and then from there, there's a selection process, background, medical, and then we do the training in the spring, trying to get the lifeguards ready to go for next Memorial Weekend. So with that, so I'll say for the highlights for this past year, besides the ocean rescues, we kind of what we do in average, we came up a little over 3,000 rescues. The medical numbers that I put, that it's on the slide, it's actually typo there. It should have been 2,800 medical assist. So the majority of those medical assist on the beach, some of them might be included, off the beach, that the night responses that who might be involved. 112 boat-related calls in the Malibu coastline. I'm glad to report that this year we didn't have any, lingering vessel that broke down like in previous years. Like, it becomes really a nightmare to deal with. And let's see what else. And Baywatch Malibu is, as we all know, it's a boat assigned to the Malibu coastline. It's really the only rescue boat resource available full-time to the Malibu, and we're proud to be to have that in place. Going over the junior lifeguard program, it's continues to be a very popular program among the youngsters. Around 400 kids with Malibu addresses participated in this past year on the junior lifeguard program. Some of them, the majority of them were up on Zuma Beach, and then some of them went to the Pacific Palisades area, where the junior lifeguard program is it's a four-week program, where they learn ocean conditions, they learn rescue techniques, first aid, and it's kind of it's pretty well received. And we also use them because to feed into ocean lifeguard candidates, right? So about 50% of our staff at one point they participated in junior lifeguard program. So that's why that's important for us. All right, coastal erosion in Malibu continue to be a huge threat for all of us. it seems like the high surf with the high tides combination, you know, we have the coastal floodings, the threats that we had this past winter with the coastal erosion, especially up in Point Doom area. And then we had the Hurricane Hillary that really didn't materialize to be as bad as Hurricane Marie a few years ago. But it's something that, you know, I think the coordination that we had with Chief Smith, City of Malibu, Palm Beach and Harbors, Public Works, to make sure that, you know, we, you know, prepared to all the issues that we might have. Let's see. Lifeguards also participated on the incident management teams. So what that means is when there is a big incident, could be a wildfire or could be a coastal event, you know, over the last 5 years, we've done a lot of work to make sure that lifeguards, series personnel participate and are qualified to help the department in logistics, planning, and the PIO shop. So with that, any questions for me? All right.
I have one quick question. Sorry.
Sure.
Paul. Do lifeguards have the capability to take S-130, S-190, the fire behavior operations classes, and or are they required to? So
We're not required, but many of us have that.
Great.
I mean,
Yeah, it'd be awesome to see.
It's you know, optional. Chief Smith actually, you know, was one of the ones that spearhead open up that door for us, you know, and with that, lifeguard series personnel is able to participate in those incidents, you know.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Thank you. I know Chief Smith worked on that with the sheriff's department, so it'd be great to just know that that's optional for some of the local lifeguards.
You know, if I may, I just want to add a shout out to the sheriffs also. The model that, you know, that has been done in Malibu, for public safety, I mean, it's, you know, there's no other place like Malibu. You know, that ownership that the sheriffs have, the local caring, right, serving the community, make sure the beaches are safe for the public and for, you know, for the first responders, right? We all know the last few years, you know, it's been very challenging, and I can tell you that you know, Zuma Beach, Malibu, it's one of the safest places for us to work. So thank you.
Nice.
Well said, Fernando. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You know,
All right, Sergeant
I've got something
Soderlund, are you ready?
Susan, I got something to say on that.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Every year, it seems like somebody steps up, or actually at the beginning of summer, and says, we don't need to spend money on a beach team. There's never any crime at Zuma. And it always cracks me up because they don't seem to understand the reason there's no crime there is because, you know, we've got the great lifeguards up there, and we've got the beach team up there, and we've got great coverage up there. And then when you tell them that, they just kind of scratch their head and walk away. That's the end of the conversation. But anyway, add on that. Susan, do you have anything else to say on 5A? We got Mark Russo.
Well, we still have Sergeant Soderlund and Mark Russo to report.
Okay, so Sergeant Soderlund's also 5B.
But that's a different report. One's an annual review, the other is monthly update.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start with Sergeant Soderlund.
Can you hear me?
There he is.
All right. Well, it's nice to have a good introduction from the fire department. It's always nice to start off on a good foot here. So basically, I'm going to give you an overview of the operations, day-to-day operations that the Malibu Lost Hill Station has for Malibu. So we work 24 hours a day, 365 days out of the year. We run 3 shifts. There's a day shift, a PM shift, and an early morning shift. On your day shift, you have 4 deputies in Malibu. PM shift is 5 deputies, and then early morning shift is 4 deputies. The 2 of those are crime cars, and then the rest are traffic cars. So in addition to those cars that are deployed out there, you also have motorcycle deputies who are out there working every day during the week. So you have those resources as well. The city also pays for a homeless liaison deputy, which is Deputy Frank Espinosa. He is out there working with the city and Luis, the homeless outreach services, and he is an exceptional deputy. He goes and knows pretty much all of the local transients that are in Malibu. So the working relationship between Frank and Luis in the city is second to none. In addition, you have me now. So I am full-time dedicated to Malibu. So that started about 6 months ago. So I'm excited to be here, and it's been quite the ride so far. And I'm looking forward to continuing the relationship with Malibu. So with that, that's just day-to-day year-round staffing. The city also pays for the beach team, and that goes full-time from June till Labor Day, which is the beginning of September. So you have 3 months of dedicated full-time 7 days a week on the beach team. And I'm sure we all heard Fernando talk about how great it is at Zuma with the beach team. So I'll save that for the Susan to go over the beach team statistics. But we also have our Malibu Search and Rescue, which is comprised of reserves and volunteers, and we have over 100 reserves and volunteers that are assigned to Lost Hills Sheriff Station. So we can bring a lot of resources to bear. Within the Sheriff's Department as well, we have a host of other specialized bureaus and units. We have our Major Crimes Unit, which deals with hardcore criminals and hardcore crimes that are committed. Our Homicide Bureau, we have a TRAP team, which is the Task Force for Auto Theft in Los Angeles County. We have our Narcotics Bureau. We have a Traffic Services Division, which comes out to investigate all fatalities. We also have our Emergency Operations Bureau, which deals with major disasters, as well as they roll out those mobile command posts that you may see. They're semi trucks that with all the lights and everything on them. So we also have our Special Enforcement Bureau, which is our SWAT team, and our Emergency Services Detail. Those are highly specialized deputies. They are on our dive team. They are part of our arson and hazmat team. So the county of Los Angeles, along with the fire department, we have resources for pretty much anything you can think of that could arise. Some of the highlights of the past year, Captain C2 along with Chief Smith have been working on a fire deployment bag for the deputies. We talked about it at the last city council meeting, but during fire events and red flag events, we have a 4x4 truck that's going to be loaded with a fire bag, and inside that fire bag is a brush jacket. It's a turnout jacket that says LA County Sheriff on it. It's got a sheriff star sewn on it. Eye protection, breathing protection, saline solution, and a fire shelter for the deputies. Captain C2 was, this was one of her main priorities that she was working on. She felt it wasn't right to send deputies into a fire with just a gun and a badge. So she wanted to give the deputies as much chance of protection and survival as possible. She was the acting watch commander and acting captain here during Woolsey fire. So it's near and dear to her heart for fire prevention. Some of the other things that are going on here, we are building a real-time watch, real-time disaster, crime and disaster center here at the station. And the captain has talked about that too at some city council meetings. But what it's going to do is it's going to give real-time information to the deputies in the field for anything that could arise. So it's going to be, it's all publicly owned cameras, from HOAs to security systems to city-owned cameras. So it's all public. We don't own any of the cameras. We don't install any of these cameras, and they're in public areas. And if an incident were to be reported to us, we will have the ability to immediately pull up a camera near that location and give real-time information to the responding deputies and the responding first responders of what is actually going on at that location. So that's getting up and running. We also have the substation, which was built this year. There's some issues going on with it. But I'm sure everyone knows some of the main issues, but the radio tower is one of them. So, but I won't go into too much detail with that, but we're working through those problems and those issues, and we're hoping to open it soon. The other thing that is going on within the department as a whole is our staffing is still a challenge. We're thousands of deputies short right now, and we're looking to hire as many deputies as we can. So please, if whoever's watching, if you have friends, family members who are interested in law enforcement, we're hiring. We will train you. You go to the academy, you get paid while you're in the academy, and it's a great career to be in. So our staffing still a challenge, and we're still hoping to boost staffing levels, but we're just trying to get through day by day right now. So that's all I have. I'm going to give some more information on the next section of the agenda, but that's pretty much the overview for the year.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Does anyone have any questions before Mark gives a report?
Sergeant, also, when you were talking about the staffing for Malibu, you also have the 2 special cars.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot to mention those. You have the 2 special assignment deputies on PM shift, and then you have 2 more special assignment deputies that work overnight. So that's in addition to everything else I listed. I thank you for reminding me.
Awesome. Susan?
That's it. Mark, you ready to go?
Mark
Russo,
I'm ready to
VOP
go.
leader.
Yeah, VOP team leader. Hey, nice seeing everybody. Commissioners, good to see you all again. I actually watch every public safety meeting, just so you know, but I'm usually doing it on YouTube. But if you ever need me for a meeting, whatever, I'm always available to jump on if there's specific questions. But thank you for having me. And just wanted to kind of go over a recap of last year, kind of where we're at this year. What we're looking to do going forward. Currently, the VOP for Malibu, the team sits at 20 members. 5 of those are actually new recruits, or what we call trainees, that are undergoing the required 6 months of patrol training. So we actually have a pretty good program. It was recognized really by Volunteer Services as being kind of an exceptional training program for volunteers that are out on patrol. And what we basically do is we have once a week in-person classroom training that culminates with scenario testing. We have a lot of different trainers that'll come in and do, like, a fire training, a medical training, things like that. In fact, in November, we're having a member of LA City Fire come in and do some, no offense to LA County, but he just had the availability. He's actually involved with the Sheriff's Department as well, but he's coming in to do some fire training in advance of the fire season for us. But we have a really good crew, a diverse crew of Malibu VOPs, typically on a weekly basis. Obviously, we try to load up heavier on the weekends because we get a different crowd out here. On the weekends, much more visitors, as you know, Monday through Friday is pretty much residents and people coming in to work, things like that. But we're fortunate that we almost have a car out every day. There are some days we miss, but given, kind of the scope of what we do, we're fortunate to be able to get a unit out on patrol every day. Today we have 2 guys out, in a car. So we're out there, trying to do what we can do, make a difference. In terms of what do we do? What does a VOP do, right? So aside from the training, we're out there is really kind of a force multiplier for the deputies that we work side by side with. In a lot of instances, there's a traffic collision, there's a road closure. We will go assist the deputies and handle, aspects of the traffic control of the road closure. And what that does is it actually frees up other deputies to get back out on patrol and answer calls for service. And as Sergeant Soderlin, pointed out that, all law enforcement agencies, frankly, but, the sheriff's department in particular, they're having a staffing issue, and it's become very difficult to try to get, even for our team, trying to get people that want to do this. And so we have a ongoing recruiting program that we do. We really use social media quite a bit. We try to attend a lot of events and trying to get people interested in either being in our program or maybe a member of Arson Watch, or, the sheriff's department has several volunteer related programs. So it's kind of an ongoing process for us to get people to want to go through the commitment, the training, and go out there and be an active member of the team. In terms of vehicles, I know you guys all know this, we're down to 3 vehicles. We had one of our newer cars taken out in a traffic accident on PCH back in April of this year. It was unfortunate, but we kind of had a series of events that occurred where we were involved in a medical situation, a traffic collision that involved a medical situation with the driver, and there was a subsequent secondary collision that occurred that unfortunately took out the car. So we're down to 3 cars, but the city is actively involved in acquiring another one. And I can't state enough how much we as a volunteer unit appreciate how much the city is behind us in effectively underwriting our program. I mean, we have a very close relationship with the city, and we really appreciate everything you guys do for us, because we couldn't have the program that we do today without the city contributing the way they do. So we greatly appreciate that. We never lose sight of it, and we're happy to do, everything we can out here patrolling the city. In terms of stats, last year, our team worked a total of 6,850 hours in the city. And we issued about 17,800 citations. Obviously, that's not all we do. We go to a lot of, calls involving traffic issues, traffic hazards. Obviously, we work events. We were at the chili cook-off all 4 days. So we're very diverse in what we end up doing. And, and then we do patrol. We do high visibility patrols. We go into these areas that, so to speak, fly the flag. And we do, push into these neighborhoods and make contact with the residents, so they kind of, they get a sense of who we are, why we're there. A lot of times when people see a sheriff's department vehicle in an area, they're like, oh, what's wrong? And, it's like, hey, we're just patrolling. If you guys ever need anything, let us know. And so we're very effective that way in kind of creating this relationship with, the different neighborhoods, things like that. So we issued last year with the citations, it culminated in fines totaling $1,360,000, right? Those were in fines, related behind those tickets. But, enforcement, as you know, in Malibu on PCH is just an ongoing issue, right? And so we're out there as much as we can, trying to hit all the different areas that we either get complaints from or we see that there's issues going on. Obviously the usual suspects, El Matador, Broadbeach, Zuma, Westward, Point Doom, Winding Way, just basically up and down the coast. It's probably easier to say what areas don't we have issues with. But, we're out there trying to do what we can to help mitigate parking issues. And I think we do a pretty effective job. This year to date, we're pushing 6,000 hours so far, patrol in the city. We've issued close to 10,000 sites. And we also red tag. What red tags are, for those of you that aren't familiar with them, it's a notice from the sheriff's department that basically tells the owner of the vehicle that they have 72 hours to move the vehicle. And we do that a lot when we see situations or we receive information where there's vehicles, that may be abandoned or somebody's kind of left them on the highway. Obviously, we see that with some of the motorhomes and things like that up and down the coast. And so we'll go there, we'll red tag them. And if we can't get them to move, or if they don't move as a result of it, then we get the deputies involved and they kind of take it from there and they'll tow the vehicle if necessary. But we're pretty effective at issuing red tag notices throughout the city. So that's kind of another thing we do. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that, there's been some changes in kind of state law regarding citations that we've had to contend with. It seems like a lot of the Senate bills that are out there have minimized some of the citations that we used to be able to write, and that in turns affects some of the enforcement that we do. But we work very closely, obviously, with the deputies and with the CSOs and parking control officers when they're out here for the beach team. And so I think, overall, I think we do a pretty good, consistent job of managing parking, enforcing parking regulations within the city. So that's pretty much all I have. Again, I wanted to thank the city for their contributions to the team, making us who we are today. And if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
I don't have a question, but I got a comment. Does anybody out there remember when we didn't have VOPs? And could you imagine what it would be like if we didn't have VOPs? So they're a absolutely phenomenal addition to the sheriff's department and to the city of Malibu. And I talk to Mark quite a bit. I talk to their guys all the time. They're always out there on the road. And I just, I always say thank you because it's amazing. These are true volunteers. They are not paid. They go out there and do this because they love their community and they care about doing something right. And just incredible to me. And thank you, Mark.
Yeah, great job, Mark. Fantastic what you did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mark.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay.
Susan, I think that would conclude 5A.
Yeah,
So let's go to 5B.
yeah.
And
So going back to Sergeant Sutherland to go over the Summer Beach Team Enforcement Operations Summary, and all those great results you got to share.
All right, so we started the beach team in May, weekends only. And then Memorial Day is when we went full time, 7 days a week. And that continued until Labor Day, when we ended beach team full time. We also did several weekend deployments in August for the weekends, but now it's officially ended. So with that being said, some of the sites that we're going to go over. So We issued 4,121 parking citations. We issued 1,108 citations for alcohol on the beach. We issued 890 traffic citations overall. We also issued 20 citations for miscellaneous infractions. We issued 4 citations for smoking on the beach. We issued 52 citations for having a dog on the beach. We made 6 misdemeanor arrests. We made 1 felony arrest. And we arrested 4 people for being drunk in public. And we towed finally 513 vehicles, which were parked illegally and causing a traffic hazard. There was only 1 use of force that was attributed to the beach team, and that was there for that. And that one was actually the felony arrest where we had to use force to take him into custody for felony animal abuse. So all in all, the deputies did a great job. I also wanted to let you guys know that going back to the staffing issue I talked about earlier, what was budgeted for the beach team, we didn't have the staff to staff it fully. So these citations were made with a smaller staff than we normally, or I mean, the productivity of the deputies was made with a smaller staff than what we would normally have. So they worked hard pretty much all summer long out on the beach, and they were understaffed, and a lot of them worked overtime on their days off to fill in the gaps. And so kudos to them for working hard and giving up their weekends, because those are the most busiest times on the beach, and they worked all weekend long, all summer long, overtime on top of that. I also want to give thanks to a lot of the parking control officers that came in from other stations in the county. We had Industry Station, Century Station, San Dimas Station, Crescenta Valley Station. The parking control officers assigned to those stations volunteered to work here in Malibu on the beach, and they drove in from all those different stations to help support the beach team. So I wanted to give thanks to them too. And because we had so many parking control officers that were willing to work, that's why there were so many parking citations issued and so many vehicles towed. So also give another thanks to Roy's Towing. They set up at the Malibu High School, the temporary tow yard. They were there with at least 4 trucks every single weekend and drivers, and they were outstanding. They were able to basically come in and tow cars, within minutes with us calling them, and before we would have to wait an hour plus for them to come down from Thousand Oaks. So that was tremendous and it was very helpful. I also have a traffic collision report for the summertime. So this is basically from when we went full time, from June 1st to September 30th. So in Malibu, there was 137 total collisions. There was 1 fatality, which was the motorcycle accident near Winding Way. And there were 0 pedestrians killed and 0 bicyclists killed. And total number of citations. So this is the beach team plus all the other normal units, the motors and the crime cars and the traffic cars. So for those 3 months, the total number of citations that were issued was 3,352 citations. So it was a very productive summer, even with the staffing challenges that we had. And just kudos to all the deputies for all their hard work that they put in. Most recently, we had the Malibu Triathlon last weekend, and that pretty much went off with 0 issues. My only comment on that was on Sunday, which was race day, where we had the most people participating. The race organizers had signs directing overflow parking up Morning View Drive. And they had meant for people to go to Malibu High School, but people took it as just anywhere along Morning View Drive. So we had cars just parked in the middle of the street, blocking lanes. We had dozens and dozens of cars just parking wherever they felt like, because they thought that was overflow parking. So we ended up making an announcement over the PA system during the race, at the start of the race, that if you were parked there and parked illegally, you were going to get towed and or cited. So we ended up towing 12 cars on Morning View, just north of PCH. The cars had been just left in the middle of the street blocking a lane. So we towed 12 cars from there, and we also issued several dozen citations for other vehicles which were parked illegally. So that was the only, pretty much, that was the only issue from the triathlon. But we did give fair warning on that. So the murder with the body in the barrel in the lagoon, which happened several months ago, I can give you guys an update on that. I can't give you specifics, but our homicide bureau has made significant progress in solving that crime. And I can't discuss it more, unfortunately, because it's still an active investigation, but they have made significant progress on that one. Also on October 1st, which was 4 days ago, zero bail policy went into effect in Los Angeles County. So basically what that means is every arrest right now is going to be, it does not have a bail. And before that, you were entitled to bail under the laws, and the bail amounts varied from the severity of the crime. So, you know, smaller crimes and you know, crimes that were not significant, those had lower bails. And then, you know, violent crimes and serious crimes, those had high bail amounts. So the court said that that was unconstitutional to require financial conditions for release, because it affected, you know, minorities and the poor population, you know, worse than people who were well off. So they got rid of that, and they have the zero bail policy now, which basically means if you're arrested for anything other than a serious or violent crime, you're going to be released with a citation to show up in court. So there are some which are cite and release on scene, and there are some which are book and release, which is we transport you to the jail, you're booked in, you're fingerprinted, your mugshot is taken, and then you're given a citation to go to jail. And then finally, serious and violent felonies, it's subject to magistrate review, which means they'll stay in jail until their arraignment 48 hours later, which they're going to go in front of a judge, and the judge is going to look at the circumstances of the crime and look at the suspect, their propensity for violence, their threat to the community, and make a determination on whether or not that they need to stay in jail or be released on a citation. So that's called magistrate review. So it's basically taking law enforcement's ability to hold people in custody away, and it's all in the court system now. So there are several exceptions where we can, if we deem it a public safety risk, we can ask a judge at the time of an arrest to hold that person in custody pending review. But it needs to have serious circumstances behind it that we have to justify. So that just went into effect 4 days ago. So that is my update, and I'm happy to take questions if anybody has any.
Josh?
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about this zero bail issue. It's got to be a little frustrating for you. I don't want to get into it too much, but I wanted to ask the beach team, what was successful this year like it's anything that was new that was successful, and then what was unsuccessful and what would you change for next season?
So I think the biggest success we had was with parking citations and towing illegally parked vehicles, because you guys know, if one person sees somebody park somewhere where they're not supposed to, everyone's going to follow and think it's okay. So we were able, especially the U-turn by Morning View, just a little bit past that. There's an area there where it's no parking because you have to have clearance for cars to make U-turns there. And it would without fail, every single weekend, we'd get cars start to park there thinking, oh, it's part of, PCH parking, even though the signs are clear that there's no parking there, and it's a towaway zone. But one person would do it, and then the next would follow, and then so on and so forth. So that was probably the hot spot there. But our parking enforcement and the temporary tow yard was the biggest success for the beach team this year. Things that didn't go so well, it goes back to staffing. We had deputies who were burnt out. They're working, dozens and dozens of hours of overtime. They're working on their days off. I really wish we could get some more people. It would have made things a lot easier, and we would have been able to do more enforcement than what we could have done had we had the people. But it went smooth. I think part of it was the first 2 months of summer. If you guys remember, it was extremely cold and cloudy in Malibu. We had a really mild summer, so I'm thankful for that, because had it been hot and sunny most of the time, we would have had a lot more people at the beaches and in Malibu, and we would have been stretched thin. But thankfully, it wasn't. So I wish we could get some more deputies hired. So.
Yeah, I mean, if I could snap my fingers and give you a couple thousand more bodies, I would definitely do it. I guess the purpose of my question was to understand what this commission could provide you in order to be more successful next year. So I guess maybe what the program, it'll come before us. I don't know, spring of next year, and we'll all vote and decide. Talk to you a little bit about deploying the resources, but I'm a big advocate of not becoming complacent, right? So any way that we can improve upon the program, I want to do it, as long as it's not crazy ask. So just keep that in the front of your mind, if you would, Sergeant Sutherland. I would appreciate it. And great job. We had no major incidents on the beach, so I'm thrilled with how it went. So thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Josh. Brian?
A couple questions for the sergeant. The parking citations, the 4,121, are those separate, or do they include VOP tickets?
They are separate from the VOP tickets.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then I just had a couple of comments. I did mention this before about, the hours that, not additional hours, but the hours that you do work. Maybe the parking citation people, coming on later and staying a little later, doing the same amount of hours, but just at a different time frame. Because it does seem like in certain areas like Point Doom and other areas, that the parking seems to get pretty bad late in the day. And I've seen the parking officers at Zuma at 7 a.m. and there's really not a lot for them to do at 7 a.m. and wondering if that could be modified. And then lastly, I remember, I've been around for a long time. I remember when the beach team early on, they did more in their patrol cars than they did on the ATVs. And we would see them kind of filtered into the neighborhoods that are near Zuma, whether it's Malibu Park or Point Doom, just as a presence, not necessarily doing any kind of big, special event, but just being present in the community in that manner. And on days when it is foggy, cold, and it doesn't seem as though you need as many people, but yet you're there. I was wondering if we couldn't see more of that, or if there is any kind of directive to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, so on the first part about the hours with the parking control officers, that can definitely be a thing. They have a policy with their, or I should say a MOU, where if they're traveling not assigned to that station, so they come from outside, they have to be paid travel time. So we have to factor that in to their schedules, to their shifts when they come out for the beach. So, some of them are driving from San Dimas, so an hour here, an hour back. So if the city will, and we can sit down and talk about it, if the city wants to increase the hours for them, it's going to cost a little bit more. So if the city's willing to absorb those costs, that's definitely something we can talk about. As far as deploying deputies and cars on the beach team, it goes back to our staffing issues again. So for officer safety reasons, we have to have the deputies on the quads doubled up. So they go out in pairs because they have to have their partner there, because if God forbid one of them gets into a fight or something on the beach, running through sand from PCH or from Westward Beach, it takes a deputy a while running down in sand. So that's why we send them out in pairs. So if I have enough deputies, then I can deploy some in cars, but this summer it was a challenge. So we needed to have them primarily on the sand because they have to go out in pairs.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, I wasn't actually requesting more hours, but different hours. As opposed to coming on at 7 a.m., maybe they come on at 10 and they go till 6 or 7 or whatever it is. Not more hours for them. I don't want them to work 8 hours. It's more just the time frames.
Yeah, and then part of that too is we have to factor in traffic. So at those times, the traffic's much worse than earlier in the morning. So those are some of the things we have to look at. But I'm definitely willing to take a look at those issues and try and adjust those hours.
Thanks, Brian. Sergeant, one of the issues that would come up over and over back when Sierra was doing the towing and we were at the west end up there in the turnouts was in the evening when your traffic enforcement people had left. They lived like 4 o'clock, something like that. And the people working up there would go back to Thousand Oaks. They'd go back over Encino Canyon, or they'd go further up and come in by Camarillo. But it was always 6 o'clock in the evening after we had towed a number of cars from Matador. There was 25 or 30 more there. And we actually, this is before you came on board, we actually tried to request the same thing Brian's asking for now. So I wholeheartedly support what he's saying. I think their hours, I think it's more of a noon, 11 o'clock or 12 till 8 o'clock gig. Just saying.
Yeah, I'll throw my hat in for that too. I just think it would be really great to be able to shift those hours. I understand about the traffic issues, but they probably are going home in traffic no matter what in the afternoon. Even if they go from 8 to 5 or 8 to 3 or whatever it is, that afternoon they're almost always going to be in traffic. But having them till almost 8 p.m., especially summer nights, would be pretty huge, especially for deterring DUIs, evening drinking and stuff like that. But you obviously know the stats and stuff better than us, but I definitely throw my hat in for that vote.
Thanks, Keegan. I'm sure Brian knows exactly what it looks like on Point Doom at 8 o'clock on a summer night. So, all right. Thank you, Sergeant Soderlund. Do we have any other questions? You good there? Susan, we go to 5C, but it looks like we've almost covered 5C and what we've already been talking about. So go ahead and.
Right. So Sergeant Sutherland, I don't know if you want to go over just the most recent crime stats.
I don't have them yet.
Well, we're talking about for month of August. I'm sorry,
for
that's the
August.
one that's on the agenda is August.
You already went over some of it.
Let me find it here. So. Okay, I do have that. So it's for August, we had we have 314 part 1 crimes, which are the most serious crimes, and that compares with 331 year to date from 2022. So that's a 5.1% decrease year over year so far. So we're still trending below 2022's total. So that's good to hear. Now that the summertime's winding down and coming to over, so I'm gonna expect to see that still stay below trend line. And I talked about the murder that we had, the two or the body in the barrel. Our homicide bureau made significant progress in solving that. Again, I can't give specifics, but they pretty much have nearly solved it. The other homicide, which occurred at Las Tunas Beach, where the domestic violence incident turned deadly, where the woman stabbed the estranged boyfriend, that was also solved too. The suspect, the woman, is in custody. Again, the both incidents, they were not Malibu residents at all, the suspects nor the victims. They came in from Los Angeles area. So so that's good to hear. I had talked last time, we'd seen an uptick in violent crime. With that being said, we've had let me see here, we've had one more, or one higher compared to 2022 for a robbery. And our burglary stats are up, residential, business, and vehicle. So we've had 4 more residential burglaries this year compared to last year. Year to date, 2 more commercial burglaries this year than last year, year to date, and 1 more vehicle burglary overall. So just general theft though, like from stores or from an unlocked vehicle, those are down a lot. Those are we're -2 for grand theft. We're -10 for unlocked vehicles. So when you come down Malibu Canyon, you see the sign that says hide your valuables and lock your door, lock your cars. I think that's having a positive impact. That's reminding people that thefts do occur, so to secure your valuables. But now that summertime's over, I'm expecting the crime trend to stay below the trend line and to decrease. So that's the report from August. And then at the city council meeting next week, I should have the statistics for September.
Thank you, Sergeant Soderlund. Do we have any other questions? I would, is Megan or Drew still on here?
I don't see them.
What's that?
I don't see either one of them.
So I'll leave it up to everyone to read the fire activity report. We're actually supposed to read all this stuff before the meetings. I know we have busy lives, but I'll leave it up to everybody to read the fire activity report. And if you have any questions on it, unless Brad or Jerry or somebody wants to go over it, I probably rely on everybody to read it. Susan?
I don't have any additional comments on that. Looks like we're kind of on time here.
We are. So if there's no more questions with that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting in honor and in memory of Deputy Lincoln Broomer, whose service is tomorrow. I don't really know that we need to second that and vote on it, but everybody's thoughts, to his family and all the deputies, and very tough day for LA County Sheriff's Department. So our blessings. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll second your motion, Chris.
There you go. Go ahead, Kathleen, if you'd like.
Yes, Commissioner Merrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbs,
Yes.
Vice Chair Spiegel,
Yes.
Chair Frost,
Yes.
you are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kathleen, for your first meeting.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you,
Yes.
everyone. Have a
Thank you,
wonderful evening.
Kathleen. We really appreciate your help.
Oh,
Did
well,
a
thank you
great
for
job.
having me. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. Take care.
And I'm glad you didn't lose power.
Yes, we got very fortunate there. Thanks
Great job.
again.
Thank you.
Oh,
Good night.
thank you.
All right,
Thank
take care, everybody.
Bye, Liz.
Everybody.
Good night.
Night.